beloved chosen one. Something has been shifting around you, even if you have not had the language to explain it yet. Even if all you have felt is a strange pressure in your spirit, a holy tension in your chest, and a deep sense that your life can no longer remain at the level where it has been. You are not imagining it. You are not becoming too sensitive. You are not reading too much into the signs. This is a divine interruption, and it is meeting you in this moment because heaven is refusing to let you sleep through the season that was assigned to transform you. You have walked through days that looked ordinary on the outside, yet inside you felt the weight of something bigger than routine. You kept moving, kept showing up, kept carrying responsibilities, kept pushing through disappointment. But beneath all of that, there has been a quiet knowing that your story is not small, that your calling is not average, and that what is coming toward you cannot be measured by what has been behind you. That knowing did not come from pride. It came from design. It came from the hand of God resting on your life before you knew how to name it. It came from the truth that you were never created to blend into a world that survives on limitation when your spirit was formed to carry increase. This is why the old season has felt so tight. This is why places that once seemed comfortable now feel too narrow. This is why conversations that used to satisfy you now leave your soul hungry. This is why delay has bothered you more deeply than before. Because something inside you knows that delay is not your destination. You are standing in the middle of a transition, and transitions are rarely gentle when they are preparing someone for extraordinary stewardship. God is not merely trying to make your life easier. God is enlarging your capacity. He is stretching the part of you that must be able to carry weight, hold wisdom, endure visibility, and manage blessing without losing humility. A billionaire-level blessing is not just about money. Although provision is part of it, it is not just about having more. Although increase is coming, it is about being entrusted with something so weighty, so uncommon, and so far beyond your past that you will need to become a stronger vessel in order to receive it well. Many people ask for overflow, but few understand what overflow demands. Overflow demands discipline. Overflow demands clarity. Overflow demands spiritual maturity. Overflow demands a heart that will not collapse when doors begin to open all at once. That is why you have been trained in hidden places. That is why some of your greatest lessons came through silence, through waiting, through being overlooked, and through carrying faith when there was no visible evidence yet. Do not despise the hidden stretch. Do not curse the slow season. Do not call yourself forgotten just because your elevation has not looked dramatic yet. Some of the most powerful moves of God happen before any public sign appears. Roots deepen before branches spread. Foundations are reinforced before towers rise. Inner strength is built before outer reward is revealed. So when you feel the pressure, understand what it means. It means the old structure cannot hold the new dimension of blessing that is being prepared for you. It means heaven is making room in you before heaven releases more around you. And hear this clearly. You must not shrink now. You must not talk yourself out of what God has been hinting to your spirit. You must not let fear dress itself up as humility and convince you that you should expect less. False humility tells you to stay small so no one is uncomfortable. True humility says yes to the size of your assignment while giving all glory to God. You were not called to worship lack. You were not called to romanticize struggle. You were not called to spend your whole life apologizing for the greatness placed inside you. You were called to carry light, to release impact, to bless others, and to become living proof that when God decides to favor a life, no force of darkness can permanently block what He has ordained. This is the moment to become fully awake, not anxious but alert, Not desperate, but aligned. Not noisy, but deeply attentive. Because divine moments do not always arrive with thunder. Sometimes they arrive as an inner stirring that refuses to leave you alone. Sometimes they arrive as a conviction that now is the time to stop doubting, stop delaying, stop negotiating with fear, and start moving like someone who believes heaven has already gone ahead of them. This is one of those moments. You have been through enough to know that not every open door is from God, and not every closed door is defeat. But this is different. This is not random ambition rising in you. This is not fantasy. This is not wishful thinking. This is your spirit recognizing that a new chapter has begun, even before your natural eyes can fully confirm it. And because this moment matters, your agreement matters too. There are seasons where survival is the lesson, and there are seasons where agreement is the key. This is a season of agreement. Agree with the call. Agree with the stretching. Agree with the preparation. Agree that you are being led into something greater than what you have known. Type 333 if you received this word. Let that be your one act of witness in this moment. And then keep listening. Because the shift is not only about what God will place in your hand, it is about who you are becoming while He prepares the transfer. You are being brought out of the mindset of barely enough and into the discipline of abundant purpose. You are being separated from the fear that taught you to expect disappointment. You are being healed from the exhaustion that made you think constant battle was your identity. No. Chosen one. Battle has been part of your training, but it is not the final name over your life. Increase is coming. Responsibility is coming. Influence is coming. Provision is coming. And the first sign that you are truly ready is that your spirit stops resisting the magnitude of what God is able to do. So breathe and let this settle deep in you. The interruption is holy. The stirring is real. The pressure is not proof that you are failing. It is proof that something larger is near. Heaven has not brought you this far to leave you in cycles that cannot contain your calling. You are being summoned upward, inward, and forward all at once. The blessing being sent is not something to fear, not something to idolize, and not something to ignore. It is something to prepare for with reverence, courage, and unwavering faith. This is where your timeline begins to change. As this holy stirring keeps building around your life, you begin to understand that divine abundance is never only about possession. It is about trust. It is about what heaven can place in your hands without losing your heart in the process. That is why the story now moving beside yours is not Joseph's story, but Solomon's. Because few lives in Scripture reveal the mystery of great blessing, vast increase, and sacred responsibility the way his life does. Solomon's journey speaks directly to this moment, because the blessing being sent to you is not small, casual, or temporary. It carries weight. It carries reach. It carries consequence. And before visible overflow arrives, God often begins by dealing with the inner posture of the one who will receive it. You can feel that truth even now. What has been happening in your spirit is deeper than a desire for more money, more ease, or more comfort. Something in you has been crying out for capacity. You have been feeling the need for greater wisdom, stronger discernment, steadier peace, and a heart that can stand under the pressure of increase without being ruled by pride, fear, or confusion. That is not accidental. It is one of the clearest signs that your spirit is being prepared for a larger realm of stewardship. Before God expands your hand, He expands your understanding. Before He entrusts greater provision, He tests whether your soul still bows low in reverence. That is where Solomon's story begins to breathe into your own. He did not first stand before God asking for endless treasures, public applause or visible status. He stood aware of his need. He stood aware that the assignment before him was bigger than his own strength. He stood in humility before the Lord, knowing that ruling well required more than ambition. It required wisdom from above. That is what makes his story so powerful for this message. The blessing followed the posture. The increase followed the surrender. The extraordinary wealth that later defined his reign did not begin as a selfish request. It began in a sacred conversation where he acknowledged that what had been placed before him was too great to carry without God. You are being invited into that same posture now. It is not the posture of begging from panic. It is the posture of receiving from alignment. There is a difference. Panic says, "Give me more because I am afraid there will never be enough." Alignment says, "Shape me for what you already intend to release." Panic grabs. Alignment yields. Panic is restless and hurried. Alignment is alert, humble, and ready. That is why this moment matters so much. The blessing being sent toward you is not merely about changing your bank account. It is about changing your internal architecture so that abundance can enter your life and find order there. Not chaos. Solomon understood that the real treasure was not gold by itself. The real treasure was wisdom that could govern wealth, influence, power, relationships, decisions, and timing. Without wisdom, increase can become a trap. Without wisdom, blessing can turn into burden. Without wisdom, a gift can arrive and still be mishandled. But when wisdom leads, blessing becomes fruitful. It becomes stable. It becomes a channel instead of a curse. That is why your current season may feel so intense. God is not withholding from you, son. He is fortifying you. He is teaching you not only how to pray for increase, but how to carry increase. He is showing you that billionaire-level blessing in the kingdom sense is not measured only by what sits in your possession, but by what flows through your life with righteousness, clarity, and impact. Listen to this truth from Scripture and let it anchor your spirit. 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 13 says, "I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor." That verse reveals the heart of God in a profound way. Solomon asked for wisdom, and God responded with more than he requested. This is the pattern you must not miss. When the heart is rightly aligned, heaven is able to add what the world spends its whole life chasing. When the soul is submitted, God can trust you with increase that goes beyond your original prayer. There are moments when the Lord answers the visible request, and there are moments when he answers the deeper posture beneath it. Solomon's life shows that when God finds humility in the vessel, he can release abundance without apology. This is why your hidden development matters so much right now. Your quiet prayers matter. Your private obedience matters. The choices no one sees matter. The way you respond to small responsibilities matters. The way you handle delay matters. The way you carry your spirit through uncertainty matters. Solomon's wealth did not appear in a vacuum. It came attached to a heart condition that, at least in that sacred beginning moment, knew it needed God more than status. You are being brought into a similar threshold where the deepest preparation is happening within. Your language is changing. Your expectations are changing. Your relationship to lack is changing. You are no longer being trained to think only in terms of survival. You are being trained to think in terms of stewardship, legacy, provision, and divine purpose. And that changes everything. It means the blessing coming toward you is not random luck. It is not hollow success. It is not a glittering distraction meant to pull you away from God. Properly received, it is part of your assignment. Properly held, it becomes a resource for impact. Properly governed, It becomes evidence that the Lord still knows how to raise up a life, place uncommon favor upon it, and use that favor for something larger than self-exaltation. That is why you must not fear increase. You must fear misalignment more than increase. You must fear a divided heart more than a full hand. Because once the heart is established, the hand can be trusted with far more. So as you move deeper into this unfolding message, let Solomon's early posture become a mirror for your own. Do not only ask for the blessing. Ask to become the kind of person who can carry it in holiness. Do not only desire abundance. Desire the wisdom that keeps abundance from mastering you. Do not only want the open door. Want the discernment to walk through it rightly. The God who gave Solomon what he did not ask is still the same God now, and he is still able to place riches, honor, opportunity, and unusual favor upon a life that remains surrendered before him. What is being sent to you is large, but the grace preparing you to receive it is larger still. Now the message grows more serious, because whenever a large blessing begins moving toward a chosen life, a warning often arrives before the visible transfer does. The warning is not sent to frighten you without reason. It is sent to protect you from becoming your own interruption. There are seasons when the enemy fights you from the outside, and there are seasons when the greater danger is the quiet compromise that tries to rise within you. This is one of those moments when you must stay awake in spirit, because what is approaching your life is precious enough to require vigilance, humility, and clear discernment. You have already begun to sense that the atmosphere around you is changing. What once felt merely delayed now feels charged. What once felt like ordinary frustration now feels like a deeper test. That is because some blessings do not arrive casually. They move through spiritual resistance. They move through layers of opposition, distraction, and internal pressure. And before they land, the soul is often confronted with choices that reveal whether it is truly ready. This is why you cannot afford carelessness now. You cannot keep feeding the habits that drain your peace. You cannot keep partnering with thoughts that teach you to expect collapse. You cannot keep speaking like someone who is cursed when God is preparing you to carry consequence, influence, and increase. This is where Solomon's story becomes even more instructive. In the beginning, he stood before God with humility. He asked for wisdom, and because his heart was rightly positioned, God added riches and honor beyond what he requested. That opening moment was beautiful. It was sacred. It was aligned. But the seriousness of blessing is that it must continue to be governed well after it is received. The danger is not only in missing the blessing, the danger is also in mishandling what comes. Solomon's life reminds you that receiving from God is one matter, but remaining anchored in obedience is another. The beginning posture must not be abandoned when the doors open wider. That is why the warning reaches you now, before more is placed into your hands. Guard your inner life. Guard your focus. Guard the company that shapes your thoughts. Guard what you normalize. Guard what you excuse. A transfer can be delayed not because God's hand is weak, but because the vessel keeps agreeing with lesser things. There are patterns that feel small when you are in them, but they become dangerous when increase touches them. A little pride becomes heavier under influence. A little impatience becomes costly under responsibility. A little compromise becomes destructive when multiplied by power and access. God loves you enough to address these things before the weight of greater blessing settles on your life. So do not dismiss conviction when it comes. Conviction is mercy. Conviction is not rejection. Conviction is heaven tapping your shoulder and saying, stay close, stay clear, stay clean. Because what is coming matters too much for you to drift now. You may have felt this lately in subtle ways, perhaps in the form of a restlessness when you entertain what no longer fits your calling. Perhaps in the form of a sudden discomfort around conversations that used to seem harmless. Perhaps in the form of a deeper longing to live with more integrity, more discipline, more reverence. Pay attention to that. Do not numb it. Do not explain it away. That discomfort may be the loving hand of God preserving your future. There is another warning too, and it concerns how you see yourself. When blessing is delayed for a long time, the human heart can become strangely attached to lack. You learn the language of surviving. You become fluent in disappointment. You begin to protect yourself by expecting less. Then when heaven starts moving, fear whispers that you should not hope too much, believe too much, prepare too much, or step too boldly. But that fear is not humility. It is self-sabotage in a softer voice. If you keep expecting ruin, you may hesitate when wisdom tells you to move. If you keep defining yourself by past hardship, you may shrink back when new opportunities appear. If you keep assuming every breakthrough will collapse, you may mishandle the very answer you have prayed for. Solomon's life stands as both invitation and caution. He shows you that God truly does know how to give beyond expectation. He also shows you that blessing must remain connected to devotion. Wealth without nearness becomes dangerous. Favor without reverence becomes unstable. Open doors without inner grounding can turn into traps. So the warning before the transfer is not simply be careful of the world, it is be careful of drift. Be careful of forgetting the one who opened the way. Be careful of treating divine favor like a personal trophy instead of a sacred trust. The larger the blessing, the deeper the need for alignment. And this is where your response becomes practical. Slow down enough to hear clearly. Return to prayer with honesty. Let your motives be examined. Let your habits be refined. Let your words come into agreement with what God is doing, not with the fear that tries to undo it. There is no shame in being corrected before increase arrives. In fact, that correction is one of the signs that you are loved. A neglected soul is left to wander. A chosen soul is warned, refined, and called higher. As you continue listening, let this message become more than inspiration. Let it become a checkpoint in your spirit. And if this word is meeting you right where you are, take a gentle moment to like, share, and subscribe. Not out of pressure, but as a quiet act of agreement that this kind of message should keep reaching those who are standing in critical seasons of awakening. And if your heart has been consistently strengthened here, there is also a way to support through the donation link in the description, helping this message continue moving toward the people who need it most. But above all, hear the core of the warning. Do not ignore what heaven is highlighting. Do not call small what God is calling serious. Do not step lightly around the things that could weaken your next season. The transfer begins in the unseen before it becomes visible in your life. It begins in correction, in cleansing, in renewed attention, in restored reverence. What is coming is not meant to crush you. It is meant to entrust you. And because it is so significant, the Lord is making sure your spirit is awake enough to receive it without losing yourself along the way. This is why you now begin to see that delay was never the same as denial. What felt like postponement was often protection. What felt like silence was often construction. What felt like being held back was in many moments the mercy of God refusing to place weight on your life before your inner structure was ready to bear it. That truth can be painful when you're living inside the waiting, because the human heart often measures love by speed. You want the answer quickly. You want the door now. You want the visible proof that your prayers have not fallen to the ground, But heaven often measures love by readiness, and readiness takes shaping, pruning, deepening, and time. You can see this clearly through the life of Solomon. When he first stood before God and asked for wisdom, he was not yet standing in the full display of everything that would later define his name. The splendor that people remember, the wealth that became legendary, the range of his influence, the honor that surrounded his throne, all of that unfolded over time. It did not appear in one careless instant. There was a process in which the promise matured into visible reality. And in that process, there was something more important than speed. There was formation. There was the development of capacity. There was the establishment of order that could sustain increase once it arrived. That is what many chosen ones struggle to accept. You do not mind being blessed, but you often grow weary of being prepared. You do not mind the promise, but the process tests your patience. You can celebrate the idea of abundance, yet still resist the long hidden work that teaches you how to carry it with stability. But the hidden work is not separate from the blessing. It is part of the blessing. To be prepared is a form of favor. To be refined before elevation is mercy. To be slowed down until your motives are clearer, your spirit is steadier, and your discernment is sharper is not God ignoring you. It is God loving your future enough to protect it from a version of you that is not yet ready. Think of how many times you have mistaken a closed door for rejection when it was actually redirection. Think of how many times you assumed the absence of immediate results meant that heaven was silent, when in truth unseen arrangements were already underway. Some delays preserved you from entering too early. Some delays kept you from connections that would have drained your oil. Some delays exposed weaknesses in your own heart that would have become dangerous under pressure. Some delays taught you how to endure, how to listen, how to wait without becoming bitter, how to stand without visible applause, and how to keep your soul anchored when outcomes were unclear. This matters more than you know. A person who receives quickly without being formed deeply can lose in a short season what took years to arrive. But a person who has been trained in hidden places often carries a different kind of strength. They are not dazzled so easily. They are not ruled by panic so easily. They are not intoxicated by attention so easily. They have learned the value of timing. They have learned that what God gives must be handled with reverence. They have learned that sudden visible change is safest in the hands of someone who has already undergone slow, invisible transformation. Solomon's story shines a light on this truth because his blessing was never meant to be disconnected from wisdom. Wisdom was the safeguard. Wisdom was the internal order that made external abundance meaningful. Without wisdom, wealth becomes noise. Without wisdom, honor becomes vanity, and without wisdom, opportunities multiply, but purpose thins out. God knew this, which is why he responded to Solomon's heart before he expanded Solomon's world. In the same way, the Lord has been responding to the deeper cry beneath your visible requests. Even when you thought you were only asking for relief, part of your spirit was asking to be made ready. Even when you thought you were only praying for open doors, part of your soul was asking for the maturity to walk through them well. Listen to this anchor from Scripture. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." That verse does not deny the ache of waiting. It speaks directly into it. It reminds you that timing is not emptiness. Timing is craftsmanship. Timing is the way God arranges beauty so that it appears at the right moment, under the right conditions, with the right depth beneath it. When you try to force what is not yet ready, you can end up touching something before its beauty has ripened. But when you let God govern the timing, what emerges carries grace that human striving cannot manufacture. So now you begin to reinterpret your own past with wiser eyes. The years that seemed unproductive may have been years of root growth. The disappointments that made you question your path may have been clearing away attachments that could not follow you into the next chapter. The loneliness may have trained you to seek God more deeply than applause. The disappointments may have broken your addiction to appearances. The uncertainty may have taught you to lean on truth instead of emotion. The delay itself may have been creating the exact endurance and clarity that your future assignment requires. And there is something else hidden inside delay that many people do not notice until later. Delay reveals what you actually love. If your devotion disappears the moment the answer takes time, then the waiting exposes a fracture that blessing would never have healed. If your peace collapses every time life does not move at your preferred speed, then the pause reveals an area where trust must deepen. This is not condemnation, it is revelation. God lets certain seasons stretch so that what is inside you can come into the light and be transformed before greater responsibility arrives. That is why you must not speak of your previous season as wasted. You may not yet understand every detail, but you are not standing here empty-handed. You are carrying lessons, refinements, and insights that were not present before the waiting shaped you. You are more discerning now, more sober now, more aware now, more capable of recognizing what matters and what does not. Those are not small gains. They are part of the wealth being built within you before the wealth around you fully appears. So let this settle into your spirit. Delay was not denial. It was preparation with a pulse. It was wisdom at work behind the curtain. It was love refusing to rush what needed depth. And now, because of all that hidden forming, you are not merely asking for blessing. You are becoming the kind of person who can receive it, govern it, and remain grounded in the God who sent it. At the opening of this next step, there is one practical resource worth mentioning because it speaks directly to a struggle many chosen ones quietly carry. And that is mental fog, scattered focus, emotional strain, creative exhaustion, and the feeling that your mind is always busy but rarely clear. The Genius Wave, also called Genius Song, is presented as a short audio-based brainwave entrainment experience designed to be used for about 7 minutes a day, with the aim of helping support focus, memory, clarity, creativity, calmer emotions, and a more centered mental state. For someone who feels mentally drained, spiritually overloaded, or unable to think with the sharpness they know they once had, that kind of support may feel relevant in this season. If you want to look into it for yourself, use only the official information in the description or the pinned comment. Be careful with fake copies and rely only on the official source if you decide to try it. And now, having said that once, come back to the deeper truth, because even the clearest mind is not the final answer unless it is surrendered to the one who gives wisdom. What you are entering is not merely a season of improved performance. It is a season of inner activation, where your spirit and your understanding must begin to move together. There are many people who think faster than you, speak louder than you, and move with more visible confidence than you. Yet they are still not walking in divine alignment. So this moment is not about chasing empty sharpness. It is about becoming clear enough within that when God speaks, you recognize His direction without all the noise drowning it out. That is why this section matters so deeply. Spiritual wealth activation does not begin in your wallet. It begins in your inner world. It begins in the hidden places where thought patterns are formed, where fear is either entertained or rejected, where your identity is either anchored in truth or pulled around by circumstances. Long before a blessing becomes visible in your life, it often begins as a shift in the way you think, the way you respond, the way you expect, and the way you carry yourself before any evidence appears. Many people stay blocked not because God has refused them, but because inwardly they are still organized around defeat. You know what that feels like. You can pray for increase while still expecting loss. You can ask for open doors while still bracing for rejection. You can speak words of faith while still letting an old story of failure rule your inner reactions. That is why activation has to start deeper than speech alone. It must reach the place where your mind is renewed and your spirit comes into agreement with what heaven has already spoken. This is not pretending. This is not denial. This is not acting rich while ignoring reality. This is the holy work of refusing to let yesterday's limitations dictate tomorrow's stewardship. Solomon's story returns here with quiet force. Before he became known for astonishing wealth, renowned wisdom, and uncommon honor, there had to be an inner posture that welcomed God's order. He did not step into increase by accident. He stepped into it through alignment. He asked for wisdom because some part of him understood that what was ahead could not be carried by natural ability alone. That is the lesson pressing gently on your life right now. What is coming next will not be sustained by talent alone, effort alone, or desire alone. It must be governed by wisdom, and wisdom flourishes where the heart stays low before God. So let your mind become a place of agreement. Let your thoughts stop rehearsing collapse. Let your imagination stop serving fear. Let your inner language stop glorifying exhaustion as if burnout were proof of faithfulness. You are not called to live mentally scattered while trying to carry a weighty assignment. You are not called to move through life permanently clouded, reactive, and fragmented. There is a difference between being tested and being mentally bound to confusion. God may allow pressure, but He does not need confusion in order to prepare you. In fact, some of the holiest growth happens when clarity begins to return and you finally realize how much noise you have been dragging through your spirit. This is where obedience becomes inward before it becomes outward. You learn to reject thoughts that no longer belong in your next season. You learn to pause before reacting from panic. You learn to notice when fear is trying to narrate your future. You learn to stop calling yourself late, forgotten, or disqualified simply because the visible signs have not caught up yet. Those old agreements have to be broken, not violently, not theatrically, but steadily, intentionally, and with spiritual authority. Because the mind that is always preparing for ruin cannot easily receive divine abundance with peace. And maybe that has been one of your hidden battles. Maybe the greatest warfare was not always around you, but within you. Maybe it was the cycle of overthinking, the weight of stress, the inability to rest, the feeling that your mind kept running even when your body was tired. Maybe you have known what it is to smile publicly while privately feeling mentally worn thin. If that is true, then hear this with tenderness and strength. God is not ashamed of your fatigue, but He does intend to lead you out of patterns that keep your spirit burdened and your thoughts dimmed. He is not merely calling you to survive another day. He is calling you into a clearer state of inner stewardship, because that is what this really becomes. Stewardship of attention, stewardship of peace, stewardship of thought, stewardship of expectation. Before riches and honor ever gathered around Solomon, wisdom had to sit at the center. And before the next level of blessing settles on your life, there must also be an inward seat prepared for wisdom to rule. Not emotion ruling one day and fear the next. Not outside voices ruling one day and insecurity the next. Wisdom. Quiet, discerning, anchored wisdom. So take this as a sacred turning point. You are allowed to seek support for your mind. You are allowed to desire clearer focus and deeper calm. You are allowed to become more mentally present, more emotionally steady, and more able to hear what God is saying. But do not stop at mental improvement alone. Let every gain in clarity become an offering back to God. Let every fresh insight produce humility, not pride. Let every moment of increased focus become another reason to listen more closely for divine instruction. The blessing being sent toward you requires more than desire. It requires inner room. It requires a mind that is not constantly at war with itself. It requires a heart that can stay yielded while new responsibilities unfold. And that is exactly why this season is so sacred. God is not only changing what comes into your hand, He is changing the inner environment that will receive it. He is teaching you to think like a steward, breathe like someone protected, and stand like someone who no longer expects life to remain small. This is how spiritual wealth activation begins. Quietly, deeply, from the inside out. By now, you can feel that this message is moving into deeper waters, because whenever a blessing of unusual weight begins drawing near, the atmosphere around it often becomes contested. That is not because God is uncertain. It is because what is coming to your life carries consequence. There are blessings that simply make life easier for a while, and then there are blessings that alter generations, expand influence, break cycles, fund assignments, heal long-standing lack, and place a person in a position where their obedience can affect many more lives than before. That kind of blessing does not pass through untouched territory. It provokes resistance. You may have already noticed signs of that resistance without fully knowing how to name them. Strange discouragement that appears when you are doing well. Sudden confusion after a clear moment of prayer. Unusual fatigue when you begin to move in faith. Old temptations resurfacing right when your spirit starts gaining momentum. Opportunities that appear close, then seem to shake loose in the last moment. Relationships becoming tense without obvious explanation. None of these things should make you panic, but they should make you aware. Not every battle is proof that you are off course. Sometimes battle is the evidence that your movement matters. This is where many people grow weary and misread the season. They assume that because pressure increased, they must be doing something wrong. They assume that because opposition surfaced, the promise must have been imagination. But Scripture and experience both teach a deeper truth. Some doors become most fiercely opposed precisely because they are ordained. Some seasons feel most turbulent not because heaven is absent, but because hell has recognized what your obedience is about to unlock. And when the blessing connected to your life is not only for you, but for the people you will help, the burdens you will lift, the provision you will release, and the testimony you will carry, that resistance can become especially intense. Solomon's story carries a quiet lesson here as well. When wisdom and wealth begin gathering around a person, the true battle is not only external attack, it is internal drift, it is distraction, it is the slow pull away from simplicity, reverence, and holy focus. Sometimes the enemy does not need to destroy a chosen person publicly if he can gradually dilute them privately. He only needs to wear them down, crowd their attention, inflate their ego, confuse their priorities, or keep them spiritually sleepy while increase grows around them. That is why this moment requires vigilance. The battle over your incoming blessing may not always look dramatic. It may look like subtle compromise, fragmented attention, emotional exhaustion, and the steady temptation to lose your center. So you must guard your center. Guard it fiercely and quietly. Do not let every voice speak into your spirit. Do not let every opinion sit at your table. Do not let every fear rehearse itself in your mind until it feels like truth. The closer you come to a meaningful transfer, the more important it becomes to keep your inner life uncluttered. Because clarity is not a luxury in a season like this. It is protection. Peace is not passivity in a season like this. It is strength. Discernment is not suspicion. It is the God-given ability to know what belongs and what does not. There are people who will only understand your life once the blessing becomes visible. But by then, the deepest war may already have been fought in silence. The real contest may have happened in those hidden hours when you had to choose whether to keep trusting, whether to keep your heart pure, whether to reject bitterness, whether to pray instead of spiraling, whether to obey instead of delay. Never underestimate those unseen victories. They matter more than public applause. The blessing is important, but the battle is shaping the vessel that will carry it. Every time you refuse despair, every time you reject a lie, every time you keep your soul pointed toward God in the middle of pressure, you are becoming harder for darkness to manipulate. And there is another layer to this battle that you must understand. Sometimes the resistance is aimed at your confidence more than your circumstances. The attack is not always against the blessing itself, but against your belief that it could truly be for you. Thoughts arise that tell you it is too late, too large, too unlikely, too good for someone with your history, too distant for someone with your weaknesses. That is not harmless doubt. That is a direct challenge to your agreement. Because if the enemy can persuade you to step back from what God is preparing, he may not need to block the door at all. He only needs you to hesitate when it opens. So this is the hour to strengthen agreement. Not arrogant certainty in yourself, but settled confidence in God. Confidence that what he begins, he knows how to finish. Confidence that resistance does not outrank ordination. Confidence that even the warfare you feel can be used to sharpen you rather than stop you. You do not have to know every detail to remain anchored. You do not have to see the entire staircase to take the next obedient step. You do not need noise. You need steadiness. And as this word continues to build, let it become something living in you. If it is strengthening your spirit, take a quiet moment to like, share, and subscribe so this message can keep reaching those who are also standing in hidden battles and holy transitions. And if this channel has been feeding your faith in a meaningful way, there is also a way to support through the donation link in the description. Helping these messages continue to go out with strength and consistency to those who need them. Now return to the heart of it. The battle over your incoming blessing is real, but it is not final. It is intense because your next season is not small. It is loud because what God is sending carries weight. But noise is not authority. Pressure is not defeat. Resistance is not the end of the story. Stay watchful, stay humble, stay prayerful, stay close to the voice that called you. The blessing moving toward you is not wandering aimlessly through chaos. It is under divine command. And while the conflict may rise for a time, it cannot rewrite what God has already decided. Your task in this hour is not to fear the battle. It is to remain aligned in the middle of it, so that when the transfer becomes visible, your spirit is still intact, your heart is still clean, and your hands are ready to receive what heaven has long been preparing. There comes a point in every chosen life when waiting is no longer the main lesson, and obedience becomes the key that unlocks acceleration. This is where many people become uncomfortable, because as long as the blessing remains distant, it is easy to imagine that the only missing piece is time. But there are sacred moments when time has already done much of its work, and now heaven is watching for alignment, not perfection, not flawless performance, not a life without weakness, alignment, the kind of obedience that says yes when God makes the next step clear. Even if your feelings are still catching up, You may be closer to that moment than you realize. After all the stretching, the refining, the warning, and the inward awakening, there comes a threshold where one act of obedience can change the pace of everything. It may look small to the natural eye. It may be a conversation you have delayed, a habit you finally release, a discipline you finally embrace, a door you finally walk through, a distraction you finally put behind you, a fear you finally stop negotiating with. But in the spirit, that one act can become the hinge on which an entire season turns. Because obedience is not measured only by its size in human terms, it is measured by its agreement with God's timing. Solomon's life reveals this in a powerful way. The blessing on his life was not detached from his willingness to respond rightly in the moments that mattered. In the early part of his reign, he did not simply admire wisdom from a distance. He asked for it. He positioned himself to receive it. He acknowledged his need. That response mattered. It was not passive. It was not casual. It was obedience in the form of humility. And because he aligned himself with what God valued, the answer that came upon his life was larger than anything he had dared to request for himself. This is one of the deepest patterns in the kingdom. Right response invites added grace. Obedience creates room for acceleration. The reason this matters so much for you now is that delay can sometimes train a person to become too cautious. You learn to move carefully because disappointment taught you not to trust open doors too quickly. You learn to protect your heart because too many things once fell apart. You learn to stand still because motion without confirmation exhausted you in earlier seasons. Some of that caution was understandable. Some of it even kept you safe. But there comes a moment when caution must not harden into resistance. If God is making the next step plain, continued hesitation is no longer wisdom. It becomes disobedience in gentler clothing. This is the kind of truth that humbles a soul. You realize that the next breakthrough may not be waiting on a more dramatic sign, but on your willingness to obey what has already been shown. You realize that acceleration is not always about God suddenly doing something entirely new. Sometimes it is about you finally responding to what He has been saying for a long time. And once that response comes, what felt stuck begins to move. What felt delayed begins to unfold. What felt distant begins to draw near with surprising speed. Listen to this anchor from Scripture. 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 12 says, "Behold, I have done according to your word." That statement carries immense power. God was responding to Solomon's request, but more deeply, He was responding to the heart position inside that request. Solomon's words reflected alignment. They revealed a desire that matched heaven's priorities more than self-exaltation. And God's answer came with force because obedience had opened the way. That is what you must hear now. There are moments when God answers according to your words because your words finally reveal surrender, humility, and agreement. So ask yourself with honesty, where has God already been nudging you? What truth has been repeated in your spirit? What area of your life still remains half-surrendered? What instruction keeps returning in prayer, in conviction, in quiet moments, in the tension you can no longer ignore? Sometimes the next season is waiting on your yes in one particular place, not because God is cruel, but because that yes establishes the order required for what comes next. Blessing without order becomes confusion. Increase without obedience becomes instability. But when obedience goes first, acceleration can unfold without destroying the vessel that receives it. And do not imagine obedience only in grand public gestures. Sometimes the holiest acts are hidden, waking earlier to pray, ending a compromising attachment, becoming faithful in what seemed too small to matter, telling the truth where image once ruled, choosing peace over performance, letting go of bitterness that had become familiar, giving attention to the assignment in front of you instead of constantly grieving what has not yet arrived. These are not tiny things in the kingdom. These are the kinds of quiet obediences that reshape atmosphere. These are the movements that tell heaven your heart is no longer merely hungry for blessing, but ready for stewardship. This is why acceleration can arrive suddenly after long silence. It is not always because everything changed in one day. It is often because obedience ripened. There is a hidden momentum in sustained faithfulness. Every prayer, every restraint, every act of trust, every refusal to drift, every return to God's voice when other voices were louder, all of it gathers. Then one day, what seemed slow begins to move with astonishing speed. Doors open, connections shift, clarity strengthens, resources appear, strength rises. It feels sudden, but heaven has been reading the record of your obedience all along. Solomon's story also reminds you that obedience is safest when it stays connected to humility. The point is not to obey in order to manipulate God. The point is to obey because He is worthy of trust. The blessing is real. Yes, but the relationship remains greater than the reward. Keep that order clear in your heart. When obedience comes from love and reverence, acceleration does not inflate the ego. It deepens gratitude. It creates awe. It keeps your spirit soft even as your life grows stronger. So stand in this truth now. The next turn in your story may not require another year of confusion. It may require one clear act of alignment, one surrendered response, one decisive step, one holy yes. Heaven is not merely asking whether you desire the blessing. Heaven is asking whether you will obey the instruction that prepares the way for it. And if you do, you may discover that what looked delayed was actually standing just beyond the threshold, waiting for the moment your obedience caught up with your prayer. Now the signs begin to gather, not always loudly, not always in ways the world would immediately recognize, but with enough consistency that your spirit can no longer dismiss what is happening. This is how many divine shifts unfold before the full manifestation arrives. There are indicators before the transfer becomes visible. There are tremors in the unseen that begin to touch the natural world. Something changes in your awareness. Something changes in your endurance. Something changes in the way doors respond to you, in the way peace settles on you, in the way old patterns begin to lose their grip. These are not random emotional swings. These are often the first signs that the blessing is already moving. One of the clearest signs is that what once drained you no longer holds the same power over you. The battles may not have disappeared entirely, but your relationship to them has changed. You do not collapse as quickly. You do not panic as easily. You do not interpret every delay as disaster. There is a steadiness forming in you that was not there before. That steadiness matters. It is one of the first indicators that your inner life is catching up with the level of blessing that is on its way. God often strengthens the vessel before He fills it more fully. If you have noticed that your spirit has become calmer, more discerning, less reactive, and less impressed by distractions, do not overlook that. That is a sign. Another sign is that your appetite has changed. Things that once entertained you now feel thin. Conversations that once held your attention now feel empty. Environments that once seemed harmless now make you feel inwardly unsettled. This is not because you are becoming strange. It is because your spirit is being recalibrated. When God is preparing to entrust more, He often changes what satisfies you. He loosens your attachment to the lesser so that you can carry the greater without constantly looking back. The old appetite fades because your soul is making room for something weightier. That too is a sign. You may also notice increased sensitivity to timing. Certain nudges feel stronger. Certain moments seem more charged. Certain decisions no longer feel casual. That is because transition seasons sharpen awareness. Solomon's life carried this kind of weight. Once wisdom was granted and favor began to gather around him, his life no longer operated on the level of ordinary impulse. Decisions had consequence. Position carried responsibility. Increase required discernment. In the same way, the signs that your transfer is already happening may include a deeper awareness that your choices matter more now. When the next level draws near, even small acts can feel spiritually significant because they are touching a larger structure being built around your life. There is also the sign of holy discomfort. This is important because not all discomfort means something is wrong. Sometimes discomfort is the evidence that something old is breaking off. You may feel restless in places where you once settled. You may feel unable to keep tolerating patterns that once felt normal. You may sense a deep inward resistance to shrinking yourself, doubting yourself, or speaking against your own future. That discomfort can be one of the clearest signs that you are no longer designed for the old season. God is making the previous dimension feel too small because He is preparing to lead you into another one. Then there is the sign of unusual favor, often subtle at first. A conversation opens unexpectedly. A helpful connection appears. A piece of understanding arrives right when you need it. A burden lifts without dramatic explanation. A path that seemed locked begins to soften. None of these moments may look spectacular in isolation, but together they create a pattern. The pattern says movement has begun. The pattern says the atmosphere is shifting. The pattern says what was once held back is beginning to find a root into your visible life. Hear this verse and let it illuminate what you are experiencing. 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 23 says, King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth in riches and in wisdom. That verse describes a fullness that became undeniable, but it did not appear without prior signs, prior grace, and prior positioning. Before the world could see the greatness surrounding Solomon, heaven had already initiated the process. That is how it often works with you as well. Before others can recognize what is changing, God has already begun the work within and around you. The visible stage comes later. The signs begin earlier. So when peace starts returning after a season of inner warfare, notice it. When clarity begins to rise after a long season of fog, notice it. When your confidence no longer feels forced but quietly grounded in God, notice it. When your fear of increase begins to dissolve and a holy readiness takes its place, notice it. These are not small emotional details. They may be part of the evidence that your life is already crossing a threshold. Comment, God is moving. Let that be a simple witness, because there is power in naming what your spirit discerns before your eyes can yet measure it in full. Another sign is that your prayers begin to change. You stop praying only for escape and start praying for stewardship. You stop asking only for relief and begin asking for wisdom, endurance, and clarity. You stop begging for scraps and begin asking how to handle what God is preparing to release. That change in prayer is not minor. It reveals that your soul is maturing into agreement. And agreement is one of the strongest indicators that a new chapter is not merely possible but already unfolding. Even your battles can become a sign when understood correctly. Sometimes resistance increases right before breakthrough because the old order senses it is losing hold. The pressure sharpens right before the release. The noise rises right before the door opens. This does not mean you should glorify struggle, but it does mean you should not be too quick to despair when turbulence appears. If your roots are deeper, your spirit clearer, your appetite holier, your peace stronger, and your discernment more alive, then the signs are already speaking. Something is happening, so do not wait for only one kind of evidence. Do not assume the blessing has not begun just because it has not yet reached its fullest visible form. The kingdom often moves from within to without. First, the spirit awakens, then the mind renews, then the heart aligns, then the path opens. Then the abundance lands in ways no one can deny. You are somewhere in that unfolding now, and the transfer is not merely a future event. It is already casting shadows into your present life. And the more alert you become, the more clearly you will recognize that heaven has already started to move. By the time you reach this depth of understanding, you begin to see that the blessing is not arriving merely to make your life more comfortable. It is arriving to make your life more useful in the hands of God. That is the difference between shallow increase and kingdom assignment. Shallow increase asks, what can this do for me? Kingdom assignment asks, what can God do through me once this is placed in my care? And that is why this next step is so sacred. You are not being invited into abundance for vanity. You are being invited into stewardship for impact. The blessing carries purpose. The favor carries responsibility. The expansion carries a call. This is where many people become uneasy, because it is one thing to desire a large blessing and another thing to understand that such a blessing will ask something of you. It will ask maturity. It will ask discernment. It will ask restraint. It will ask vision that goes beyond personal gratification. It will ask you to stop thinking only in terms of temporary relief and begin thinking in terms of legacy, service, and obedience. That is the deeper meaning of stepping into a higher assignment. God is not just increasing what you have. He is enlarging what you are responsible for. Solomon's life stands before you here with all its brilliance and all its weight. His name became associated with extraordinary wealth, astonishing wisdom, far-reaching influence, and a kingdom marked by splendor. But beneath all of that visible greatness was an assignment that demanded far more than personal enjoyment. He was not blessed only so he could marvel at his own prosperity. He was entrusted with leadership, with judgment, with the ordering of a nation, with the building of something that would testify to the greatness of God. His blessing was tied to burden. His abundance was tied to responsibility. His elevation was tied to purpose. That is the frame you must now carry for your own life. The billionaire-level blessing being sent is not merely about what you can buy, display, or accumulate. It is about what you can build, protect, release, and sustain. It is about becoming a source and not only a receiver. It is about having enough wisdom to understand that increase becomes most beautiful when it moves through clean hands and a surrendered heart. Wealth without purpose can become emptiness covered in glitter. Influence without holiness can become danger covered in applause. But blessing joined to assignment becomes something holy. It becomes provision with direction. It becomes favor with meaning. You may already feel the weight of this. Perhaps that is why your spirit has not been satisfied with small dreams. Perhaps that is why mere comfort has never fully quieted the deeper hunger inside you. Perhaps that is why even when you asked for breakthrough, there was something in you that also longed for significance, for usefulness, for divine impact. That longing is not accidental. It is one of the signs that your life was never meant to stop at survival. You were meant to become a vessel of overflow in ways that reach beyond yourself. This does not mean you must become loud, public, or self-important. Some of the most powerful assignments are carried quietly, but they are still weighty. They still require faithfulness. They still demand that you think beyond the present moment. The blessing coming toward you may touch finances, opportunities, visibility, influence, and relationships. But beneath all those forms is one central question. Can this life be trusted with increase that serves a purpose larger than the self? That is the question that defines stewardship. Listen to this verse and let it settle deeply. 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 29 says, "And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding beyond measure, and breadth of mind like the sand on the seashore." That verse reveals something essential. Solomon's assignment required more than wealth. It required breadth. It required inner enlargement. It required a mind capable of carrying what his calling demanded. That is what God has been doing in you as well. He has been enlarging your interior world so that your external world can expand without crushing you. He has been increasing your discernment so that your opportunities do not outrun your character. He has been stretching your thought life so that when abundance arrives, you do not handle it like someone still trapped in smallness. And this is where your next era begins to look different from the last one. In the old season, you may have been fighting simply to stay afloat. In the next season, you will need to think about what you are building. In the old season, you may have been consumed by immediate needs. In the next season, you must consider long-term fruit. In the old season, your prayers may have come mostly from pain. In the next season, your prayers will increasingly come from vision. That is not pride. That is growth. It means your soul is maturing into the level of assignment attached to your blessing. But with this comes a holy caution. Never separate the assignment from the source. Solomon's life is glorious, but it is also sobering because it reminds you that great blessing must remain rooted in deep devotion. The higher the influence, the greater the need for humility. The larger the provision, the greater the need for reverence. The wider the reach, the more fiercely you must guard your heart from drift. This is not said to create fear. It is said to preserve clarity. You cannot carry a kingdom assignment safely if you begin to worship the gifts more than the giver. So even as you prepare for expansion, remain low before God. Let gratitude protect you. Let prayer anchor you. Let wisdom correct you. Let obedience keep you aligned. Let compassion keep your heart soft. The blessing is real, but its beauty depends on how it is carried. When abundance is joined to surrender, it becomes a testimony. When increase is joined to wisdom, it becomes generational. When influence is joined to holiness, it becomes healing for others. That is why you must no longer think of your next season as a private reward alone. See it as an assignment. See it as a trust. See it as an answer not only to your prayers, but also to needs you have not yet discovered around you. God is preparing you to stand in a place where what flows through your life can strengthen others. Lift burdens, open doors, create refuge, and reveal His faithfulness in visible ways. This is larger than personal relief. This is sacred responsibility. And now you are beginning to understand what makes this blessing so weighty. It is not only large in amount, it is large in meaning. It calls you upward. It calls you deeper. It calls you out of a survival identity and into a stewardship identity. It calls you to become the kind of person who does not merely receive well, but governs well, gives well, builds well, and remains faithful through it all. This is the threshold you are approaching now, not just a richer life, but a more entrusted one. Not just greater abundance, but greater assignment. And when you step into that with wisdom, humility, and reverence, the blessing becomes far more than provision. It becomes purpose made visible. Now you arrive at the edge of a new era, and you can feel that something inside you is no longer willing to return to the old way of thinking, the old way of shrinking, the old way of surviving as though survival were the highest thing God had planned for your life. It is not. You have been called through too much, shaped by too much, corrected by too much, and preserved through too much to remain bound to a smaller identity. What is before you now is not just a better season. It is a kingdom era in your life, a season where what God has planted in secret begins to rise with visible strength, and where the blessing sent to you is no longer only a promise you whisper about in prayer, but a reality you begin to walk in with reverence, clarity, and holy confidence. This is the moment when the pieces begin to come together. The stirring you felt in the beginning was real. The warning was necessary. The delay had purpose. The inward activation mattered. The battle was not pointless. The obedience was not small. The signs were not imaginary. The assignment is not beyond you. All of it has been moving toward this threshold, where you begin to understand that God has not simply been preparing to bless you. He has been preparing to establish you. There is a difference. A temporary blessing can come and go, but establishment is deeper. It means roots. It means stability. It means a life that no longer shakes every time circumstances change. It means your peace has somewhere to stand. It means your identity is no longer built on temporary conditions but on divine truth. You are entering a new kingdom era because your spirit is no longer asking only to escape pain. It is becoming ready to carry purpose. You are no longer merely reacting to life. You are beginning to move with discernment. You are no longer defining yourself by the seasons that wounded you. You are beginning to recognize yourself through the eyes of the God who kept you. That shift is sacred. It changes the way you pray. It changes the way you wait. It changes the way you work. It changes the way you handle increase. It changes the way you respond when doors open, because now you understand that every gift must remain connected to the giver. Solomon's story has walked beside you for this reason. His life revealed that wisdom must govern abundance, that blessing carries responsibility, and that honor means little without alignment. But here at the end, the deepest lesson becomes simple. God is still able to place extraordinary favor on a life. He is still able to raise someone beyond what others expected. He is still able to answer with more than was asked. He is still able to give peace, provision, influence, and uncommon grace. And if He has kept you through the refining, then He also knows how to bring you into the era for which that refining was designed. So do not fear the new era. Welcome it with humility. Welcome it with gratitude. Welcome it with wisdom. Welcome it without pretending you know everything, but also without pretending you are still the same person you were at the beginning of this journey. You are not the same. You have learned too much. You have endured too much. You have been awakened too deeply. And now heaven is inviting you to stand up inwardly and accept that a new season has truly begun. Let this become prayer now, soft and sincere before God. Father, thank you for every listener whose heart has been carried through hidden battles and long nights of waiting. Thank you for preserving them when they did not understand the season they were in. Thank you for keeping their spirit alive when disappointment tried to make them numb. Thank you for speaking to them even in silence, and for refusing to let their story end in lack, fear, or confusion. I pray that you would establish them in this new era with wisdom, peace, and holy courage. Cleanse every place where doubt still clings. Break every agreement with smallness, despair, and self-sabotage. Heal the mind that has been tired. Strengthen the heart that has been stretched. Bring order to what has felt scattered. Bring light to what has felt uncertain. And as blessing begins to unfold, let it arrive with clarity, with protection, and with the grace to carry it well. Let them not be ruled by pride or fear, but grounded in reverence. Let their lives become a testimony of your faithfulness. Let what you place in their hands be used for good, for healing, for provision, and for purpose. And let them walk into this next chapter knowing that they are covered, called, and not forgotten. In Jesus' name, amen. Hold that prayer close, because this is not the end of something empty. It is the beginning of something weighty. And if this message has walked with you, strengthened you, or helped put language to what your spirit has been sensing, take a gentle moment to like, share, and subscribe so this word can continue reaching those who are standing in their own hour of awakening. And if this channel has been a place of steady encouragement for you, there is also a way to support through the donation link in the description, helping these messages continue to go forward with strength and consistency. But above all, leave this moment remembering who you are. You are not abandoned. You are not late. You are not disqualified by the delay. You are not too damaged to be entrusted. You are not too ordinary to be chosen. The hand of God has been on your life in ways you could not always see. And now the evidence of that hand is beginning to rise. Walk forward with peace. Walk forward with discipline. Walk forward with trust. Walk forward without bowing to old fear. This is your new kingdom era, and you do not enter it alone. The God who brought you here will remain the God who sustains you there. So rest in this tonight. Let your heart become still. Let your breathing slow. Let the noise of fear fall away from your mind. You do not need to force what God has already set in motion. You do not need to beg for what heaven has already decided to release in its proper time. Your part is to stay near, stay faithful, stay humble, and stay ready. The blessing coming toward you is not empty shine. It is sacred trust. The future before you is not random chance. It is purposeful design. And the life you are stepping into will reveal that none of the tears were wasted. None of the lessons were pointless. And none of the delays were outside the reach of God's hand. Sleep with peace. Rise with expectation. Move with wisdom. The next chapter is opening, and grace will meet you in it.